Hello and welcome everybody to the Mountain Magic series here at Mythic Games in Littleton, Colorado. I'm your host, Songkook, and I am joined by the lover of Tarmogoyf, it's Rob.
I do love Tarmogoyf. Me and Tarmogoyf have had a secret love for a long time, but we don't need to go into that on this episode.
Yeah, but looks like Hans against Josh, two big titans of the local meta, I think, right?
Yeah, and remind me, Hans the incredible Amulet Titan player in Modern?
Hans? I'm
thinking of someone else.
Maybe Sun Kim?
Sun Kim.
Yeah, Sun Kim is really, really good, yeah.
I have not met Hans before. Regardless.
Hans is he was, I think he's won the, I don't know if you remember the... I don't know. Were you playing back when the junior championships was the thing?
No.
Okay, yeah, I think he's won that event. You had to be under 18, I think. It's an event that they used to do a long time ago, and I think he's gotten some Star City Games Invitational top 8s.
Okay.
Yeah. And notable here, I am the world's second biggest Hans fan next to Alex Smith. Yeah, Alex Smith is number 1. I'm number 2.
That's very fair. Well, I'm one of the biggest Josh Wright fans since we see him on lands here. Yeah. Going for a turn 1 exploration, which is exactly what the lands deck wants to be doing, but stopped here very smartly by Hans, who, as you have told me here, is a pretty slick player in what he's doing. Very slick. So this is interesting matchup here. Hive Mind versus lands.
Hive Mind, yeah.
So if those who are potentially uninitiated with the Hive Mind deck, this is a deck that wants to produce Hive Mind and then play something like a Pact of the Titan, a Pact of Negation, something that ultimately would say that you would lose the game if you did not do a thing, and then your opponent has to do that thing, and then they can't go and do the thing and thus die. So looking at this, a blue deck and what is ultimately looking kind of like a blue mid-range combo deck versus the slow but steady lands deck. I'm really interested to see how this matchup plays out. I wonder how many points of interaction Josh really has in terms of interacting with the Hive Mind combo. But at the same time, I feel like Josh is someone who really understands when it's time to go and put the pedal to the metal and just produce a Merit Lage, say, here's a 2020, what are you going to do about it? And oftentimes, the answer is nothing. So with that, we also see here 2 copies of Stifle in Hans's deck. So the God Gamer himself putting the Stifles in, as we see Josh fetching out 2 lands and getting a Life from the Loam going.
That card that's in Hans's Exile, it's a funny card. I can't remember what it does. Do you know what that card is?
Is it one of these? Is it Sudden Substitution?
I believe it is.
I believe it is Sudden Substitution.
I think that card is really, really funny, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
God, and Hans rocking that 8-pack island. Ooh.
Beautiful cards on the table here.
I do like fancy basics.
Sudden Substitution indeed. 2 blue. It's a commander card. Split second. Exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature. Then the spell's controller may choose new targets for it. Very interesting. I imagine that has something to do with all this pacting nonsense.
Yeah, so I think it's another Hive Bind, essentially. So you pact, and then you give them the pact.
Oh.
So you have to pay for it, yeah. And it's got split second.
So there's just nothing
they just have a pact.
Oh, fair. All right.
Although, you know what's funny? With Josh's deck, he can pay for a Pact of the Titan.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. He could also realistically pay for a Pact of Negation. But he doesn't have the exploration out. So
yeah, a little slow start.
In some ways, I feel like Hans is kind of incentivized to go for it as soon as he can, especially given that Josh is playing 1 land a turn here. He does have that Life from the Loam going again, but...
Yeah, I imagine this game 1 is abysmal for Josh, but...
Yeah!
This is not the greatest of matchups.
Right, and choosing not to dredge Loam, trying to find action. There's a Dark Depths. Okay. I think we see another one in hand for him. Yeah. And I believe there might be a Crop Rotation in hand as well. So there is
that's
a line.
Hive Mind.
Oh,
is that Show and Tell too? Is this go time? Oh no, but he only has Pact of...
He does have Show and Tell.
And just Pact of Negation, though?
Let's see what he decides to do here as Josh passes the turn back. City of Traders.
That's enough. Wait, is Hive Mind 6 mana? I can't remember.
Let's look up Hive Mind. And here's the Crop Rotation. Okay, so Josh might be just trying to present the 2020, and he can make it this turn.
Wait, is Hans just going to Pact of Negation this?
Oh my god.
He can pay for it.
He does have 5 mana. He might have to, because I think
I guess you're right. Yeah, dead to the Mirror Lage, right? Yeah. There it
Okay.
is, yeah.
All right. The game continues.
And let's hope Hans remembers to pay for the bags.
Right. No dice on the top of the deck. He knows exactly what he's about. Okay. And Josh dredging back.
But that sucks. So when he fetches, he loses his City of Traders.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, like you said, he has to do it, or
Right.
he's just dead.
Yeah. In Hive Mind here, 5 and a blue, 6 mana enchantment. When a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each other player copies that spell. Each of those players may choose new targets for his or her copy.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So, yes, you can make a 4/4 or whatever that is on Pact of the Titan. Regardless, it says you're dead.
Leo says the deck name Legacy Lands implies the existence of modern lands.
Oh, no. Looking at this here. All right, Josh, taking it a bit slow, gets the life from the loam back, says that if this game is going to go long, that's what we're going to do. And as we see, we go to Hans's upkeep. He needs no reminder. He says, I'm going to pay for that pact negation.
It's so funny. Every time I put a dice or something on the top of my deck to remind me, I'm like, what the heck is this thing doing here? Get this crap out
Draw
of
a card.
here.
Judge. Oh, no. Okay. And I see the City Trader on the battlefield. I assume he just played it from his hand. Thinking about this, he doesn't have a lot of cards in hand still, so we are getting to this slower part of the game, and but then again, all he needs is 2 cards. So we'll see how this goes. Pointing at the City of Traders. Yeah, this is what you were talking about.
Wait, is it whenever you play a land? Is that how City of Traders is worded?
Well, I think you might be onto something here. That's why we look at the cards. So, City of Traders, as the Legacy gamers in the chat, I'm sure, are letting us know, if you would play a land sacrifice.
Oh, interesting. So if you fetch, it doesn't die.
Right, so he still has it, and he does have a grip of cards.
Like
here.
so many show and tells.
Right.
Hive Mind, but no Pact, huh? Is that 3 Hive Minds and 2 show and tells? Is that what I just saw?
I believe it is.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we're gaming.
Yeah.
And Josh, I'm sure he wants to see a Thespian stage, and he's digging for it with this loam, but he does go ahead and get this Urza Saga onto the battlefield.
Yeah, 2 Urza Saga.
Yeah, not a bad place to be. 1 in hand for him as well. Taking his draw step here with Hans.
Boom.
Ancient him. Sick.
This hand is so funny.
Oh, man.
I would just cast a Hive Mind and then cast another one, so Josh also has a Hive Mind.
True. Okay. Well,
Does that do anything?
I guess, is there a point where you can... Well, no, they choose new copies for that. I was going to say, do you both get the spell, or do they just trade the spell?
I don't know.
We're entering into gray territory here.
I'm not too versed on 2015 Legacy, so
Can't say I am either, but here we are.
Well, he's thinking about casting the show and tell.
Okay.
Oh no, just straight up Hive Mind, I think.
Straight behind mind. Yeah, it says whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each other player copies that spell. So he could, just get access to some of the spells that Josh is playing here, and that does, frankly, change the game. Mind you, a lot of the spells that Josh is casting here are going to be crop rotation and life from the loam.
Oh my gosh. Thank God Hans has the signed copy of Hive Mind.
If he didn't, I don't think he'd be allowed to play the deck. I think that's just how that works.
It's funny that these cards never credit the designer of the card, right? It's only the artists. I wonder why that is. Because I think it'd be cool to have the designer signature on a card, right?
I do like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's only the artist. I think the artist is cool too.
Sure. I guess I don't know.
That is a Grim Monolith. That is not a Pact, Hans.
No. And looking at Hans's deck this year...
Aren't there cantrips in this deck?
I'm looking 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, 2 Preordain. But he does pack his deck with things like Lotus Petal, Grim Monolith, and then, all the nonsense here. So.
Right, second Hive Mind.
Might as well cast him. But Josh could just win this game.
Look at that. He's got his own copy of Hive Mind now.
Oh, man.
Dealio. Although, okay, I see. So
Hive Mind is just instants and sorceries.
Oh, is it just instant sorceries?
Right,
Oh, okay, never
right.
mind. Yeah.
So, Josh, I think he has a line just to make a bunch of constructs here.
Yeah.
And just go to town.
Slow, but I mean, if Hans keeps drawing nothing.
Yeah, Hans is at 13. So.
With an ancient tomb, so yeah.
Yeah. He did sacrifice that land. Again, puts Josh in a little bit of a weird position of whether he ever wants to cast Life from the Loam again. But putting that Mox Diamond on the battlefield will make these constructs 3/3s. And he does have another Urza Saga ticking away. He can make another Urza Saga token this turn if he'd like to. And looks like he's discarding a Mazavith to his Mox Diamond.
Yeah, that card doesn't seem too great.
No, probably not so good here. But I like the pivot from Josh. Seeing this weakness from Hans. If your opponent casts 2 Hive Mind and does nothing, I just can't imagine they're doing much.
Could you imagine if you just don't know how this deck works? You'd be like, what are you doing? Like, what is Hive Mind?
And you're playing the deck. Just like, whoa, sick card.
Yeah,
I guess I'll just do what they're doing. Polluted Delta's the draw.
That ought to really... God, is he...
I think he's just dead.
On board?
Yeah. So Josh swings for 4, puts Hans to 9, I imagine, here. And he's just dead on the crackback.
Oh my gosh.
Cast a show and tell. Do it. Just to say you did it.
I mean, we got to get that 3rd Hive Mind in there.
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
Josh could elect not to attack with his tokens.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We are going to a game 2 off of this. This is not how I expected this to go.
No, not at all. Yeah, but I mean, Hans had to pact the crop rotation, right? So yeah, and then he didn't draw anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And thus the cookie crumbled. And here we go. So let's look at the sideboard.
Yes, the sideboard. I hope Josh was prepared for Hive Mind.
Yeah. Well, he does have 2 copies of Force of Vigor. He also has 2 copies of Choke, which are going to look exceptional in this matchup.
Oh yeah, Choke is pretty sweet.
Haywire Might, remind me, does that hit enchantments?
I believe so.
I believe so. He does have Opposition Agent. He has 2 copies of Perish, which are not going to be coming in here. 1 copy of Pyroblast, 1 copy of Red Elemental Blast, and 3 Thoughtseize. I feel like he could just jam all these cards in here.
That's I was kind of kidding when Josh said he was not going to be, or when he was going to be prepared for Hive Mind, but oh my god.
Yeah, he kind of is. Which is very interesting. Now, looking at Hans here, so let's see, he has 2 Defense Grid, 3 Dress Down, 1 Emrakul, the Eon's Torn, 1 Hercule's Recall, 4 Ley Line of Sanctity, 2 Null Rod, and 2 Surgical Extraction. What do you like here from Hans's board?
Nothing. I think, right? Like, do the Null Rods even come in?
I think probably not.
Yeah.
I imagine this isn't the matchup. I can see the argument for the Surgical Extraction against lands always, taking out something like a Life from the Loam.
Sweet, yeah.
But Hans doesn't really have a good way to interact with Merit Lage from what I'm seeing. Nothing like a Brazen Borrower or anything like that. He does have 1 Otawara, the Soaring City, in his main deck. So he has that at least. And other than that, maybe he's bringing in his Dress Downs. I don't know. It doesn't look too great for what Hans can do here.
Although in theory, Hans should be able to combo off before Josh can piece together a kill.
That's very true.
Yeah, so like maybe he just runs the main deck back.
Yeah. I mean, I guess realistically Hans is going to go back on the play. And he does have these show and tells on the deck to go ahead and put in his Hive Minds. So he does have a line for a turn 2 kill, essentially. But if the turn 2 kill is something like Pact of the Titan, as we talked about before, Josh could put in a land off that show and tell and potentially just pay for the Pact.
Yeah.
So kind of tough here in some ways.
And then he gets a sweet 4/4 giant.
Hell yeah.
Not to mention,
And that's real gaming, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you think Hans actually has that token, like, ready?
A true Hive Mind gamer does not. Yeah.
Oh
well,
gosh.
I don't know. At the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 4 and a red. So maybe Josh cannot produce 5 mana. But with Mox Diamonds and things, it's possible.
4 and a red for a 4/4?
Yeah.
What's that card?
Modern staple. I don't know.
God, all the packs are all designed so strangely.
Yeah. I don't know. But it is interesting to see kind of like that play of having soul lands in and Pact of Negation, where it's like, I can pay for this.
Yeah.
But backing it up, he does have the playset of 4 Force of Will.
Man, this is so funny. Yeah, it didn't. I wasn't watching very closely, but I don't think Hans did. He bring anything in? He may not have.
I'd be remiss if I did not at least try maybe the surgicals, but I guess it really isn't doing anything for you. The
sudden substitution.
Okay, so he does have Lotus Petal, Island, Show and Tell, but he doesn't have the Soul Land.
Yeah.
So he keeps it. Okay. Ponder.
Oh, it's alright. I haven't pondered.
Yeah.
Solves all your problems.
Let's use another Lotus Petal.
Yeah. And a land, right? Yeah.
Yeah. With that,
He's got Pact of Negation again.
and has a sudden substitution. Does he have Hive Mind in hand?
Wait, was it the top card off Ponder?
Let's see. Lotus Petal. Well, he chooses to keep
Whoa.
it. And it is an island. Okay. So he has a line.
That was a Nurturing Peatland.
That is a Nurturing Peatland indeed. Takes the point. Thoughtseize. Here we go.
Ooh.
So let's see the hand. We have an island, sudden substitution, show and tell, pact and negation, lotus petal, show and tell.
Oh god, 2 show and tell. Do you just take Pact?
I think you just take pact. It's either pact or sudden substitution, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Substitution.
Yeah, I was in Josh's position. I'd probably be taking this pact.
Yeah.
There's even an argument for lotus
there
petal,
is.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But
Yeah,
here we
takes
go.
the bag.
And Hans probably maybe thinking twice about that ponder. I'm wondering if he expected the Thoughtseize. And now we see again, I believe it is another sudden substitution. Oh, no, it was preordained.
Oh.
All right. So he does have a way to get out of this.
Bam. That's another Ponder.
Ponder,
Yeah.
right. Okay, Soul Land, Force of Will,
Force
Pact
of,
and
yeah,
Negation.
Pact and Negation.
Okay.
Although you do need a Pact, right? So...
Well, he does have the line to go sudden substitution, Pact and Negation.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
correct?
Sudden substitution. I forgot about that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And he sees the Soul in there, so there is a line and a Force of Will. So, it is.
That's a pretty sick Ponder.
Yeah, that Ponder finding what it needed. And if I'm on Josh's side of the battlefield, thinking about how hard Hans is thinking right now, may not be in a great position, but Hans having a little shake of the head.
Yeah, how... You just wait until you have the... Yeah, you just wait until you have all those cards in your hand and then go off, I guess? Yeah.
So he stacks it, Force of Will, Soul Land, Pact of Negation. Interesting. Well, I guess does he need something else on the stack to Pact of Negation?
Ooh.
Maybe not. Regardless.
Can Pact target itself?
I guess it could probably target the sudden substitution, but your opponent controls it. No,
yeah.
you need to have Pact first. Either way,
Yeah.
we're in Josh's turn here. Plays a land. I believe Hans played out the Lotus Petal, which is last turn here. Exploration.
Exploration. Okay. Speaking of lands, where's Kurash?
I don't know.
Huh.
I wanted to see him win first place, as we all know he would. Here we are. Regardless, another seasoned lands player here in Josh Wright. Talking to him before the tournament, talking about the pros and cons of the deck. Someone who's committed to learning a lot of the strategy and really has put the reps in. And again, part of the community is that, including someone like Kurash, who knows this deck inside and out, has all these resources. But I know that the metagame call for lands is not always correct, especially with the uptick of these tempo decks that are actually doing okay, surprisingly, against these land strategies, which not classic.
Hans keeping the city traders in his hand?
Yes.
Yeah, super smart. Yeah.
What a gamer. Okay, passing the turn.
Man, Hans is insane. Like I said, world's number 2 fan, Hans fan.
Right.
So...
I'm impressed with how he's navigating this game, regardless. Getting a little unlucky the first game.
Brainstorm. Okay, so sudden substitution must not work with Pact of Negation. Maybe with just Pact of the Titan, or else he would just jam it here, right?
Yeah, I could see that. There's, Josh has all this open
Yeah,
mana.
and I guess Hans has the extra mana to spare here, so you may as well Brainstorm, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get those poopy show and tells out of your hand.
Yeah, we don't need any of those.
Yeah,
We're
just
going.
keep one to pitch to Force of Will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he does have the fetch land.
Okay, so yeah, the sudden substitution line must not work.
I guess also he doesn't need to go for it.
Oh, sure. He's not under any pressure.
Exactly. Yeah. And if I'm sitting in Hans's seat, I'm expecting at least something like Pyroblast from the lands.
Sure.
So he can assume that there's probably some level of interaction, especially just thinking about how Josh has utilized his lands. Mm-hmm. So probably getting, let's see.
Haywire Might?
He also has the access to Pithing Needle potentially, and he could just get him with the Flood Strainer or one of the Lotus Petals there.
Get him.
Which I'm sure Josh is having a think about.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, Haywire Might also probably pretty good here.
Yeah, what would you get here? So let's see. If you got Haywire Might... My god, is Hans still really at 20?
And Haywire Might exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. So it can hit the Hive Mind.
There it is.
Okay, Haywire Might. Respecting the Hive Mind.
Let's see, that's Josh attacks for 3 this turn. Assuming he doesn't have like a Mox Diamond or anything.
Sure.
And then next turn he attacks for 7. That's 10. So Hans would be at 10.
Yeah, looking like it's potentially a 3-turn clock.
Yeah.
Josh does have the crop rotation in hand, so he can represent Merit Lage, but will it be in
with
time?
the Lesbian stage.
Yes. Cracking in.
Can he, let's see, can he crop... No, he can't crop rot and make Merit Lage, can he?
Not this turn.
He's only played 1 land this turn. Or 1 land so far.
That's true, right? I believe, yes.
And he's got an Expiration, so if he's got another land, he can do it.
Okay.
It looks like...
Oh, interesting. Ooh. Just getting rid of the Lotus Petal. Okay.
Ooh, although that lengthens the clock gets shorter here. Or larger.
Yes.
It's going to take longer to kill him now.
Interestingly, if he had a way to get back this Urza Saga, he could start presenting with the Thespian stage some constructs. But, I think Han seeing that on the Haywire Might gotta be pretty happy. Just knowing that he's a soul land in hand. Otherwise, he's playing a mono blue deck. So he's got islands for days, to say the least. But if I'm Josh here, I gotta be a little confused again, thinking about how the first game went, but also just saying, what is in my opponent's hand?
Is that a Hive Mind?
I think that might have been a Hive Mind. Looking like it might have been. We do see, again, Force of Will pulled to the front, 2 sudden substitutions. We see a City of Traders.
So...
Pact of Negation, Show and Tell.
Yeah, so you have to resolve Hive Mind and then get something on the stack so you can pact it, right?
Sure, yes.
This is interesting.
Also, Josh realistically can just win this game without casting any more spells with the current board state.
That's true. And, he left up Taiga, probably has some sort of Red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast in hand.
Indeed, I think I saw one before, so good read there. Tapping the 2 mana and tapping in a Wasteland. Life and Loam. Okay.
So we're on the Construct plan.
I think it, given the current representation of his hand, that is, one way to go about it. And bashing in here for 4. Okay, Han's at 12. Han's playing this very patiently. If that does indeed is a Hive Mind.
Oh, another island. Yikes, man, Hans's draws have been really bad.
Yeah. It looks like he has an avenue to getting where he wants to go. Wondering if maybe he's also respecting potentially something like another Haywire Might or a Force of Vigor or a Beseiju. There are ways to interact with that. And I think we see here that Thespian stage copying Urza Saga, so can create even more of ye old constructs.
This next turn for Hans is going to hurt. He's going to take 8, right? Assuming he activates both Urza Sagas.
I believe so. Yeah, trigger.
Although, yeah, he probably wants to hold up Red Elemental Blast.
I think the first Urza Saga just goes to 1, so I don't think he can necessarily make them just yet.
You're right,
but he can, indeed, and those constructs should be untapped. But he can make another construct. Bash for 6. So 2-turn clock.
That means he's just such a messed up Magic card.
Yes.
I hate that card.
Yeah. And also, sometimes when you like try and copy it, and then they're like, it's a basic forest now. And you're like,
yeah.
Why is that a thing? Here we are.
It's like, let me just sneak a Wasteland in here. And they're
sure.
like, ha!
All right. Here we go. Josh turning his cards sideways here. Right. His construct's coming in for 6.
And Josh
the next one.
Got lethal.
Yeah, it's go time for Hans.
It's another Harvard.
He has to do it. But again, I believe he has to have a card on the stack.
Yeah,
So he doesn't have any like cantrips or anything like that. So what is he going to try and pact?
So let's see. I mean, like, do you just like play Hive Mind? Hopefully your opponent casts a spell on your end step and you picked him. You get him.
Yeah. Well, there is a scenario where he can show and tell in the Hive Mind, and then Josh could elect. I believe he does have a Power Blast in hand. Could elect not to play that, and then try and Power Blast the Hive Mind once it is resolved.
Oh, and then you give him the pact.
And then you get him.
Oh, wait, but then, so you put pact on the stack, right? Yours goes on the stack, and then Josh's goes on the stack, because you have a Hive Mind in play.
Right.
And then Josh targets his pact at your pact.
His pact at your pact.
Oh, but then...
he's still
right,
pacting.
but that's
He's
right,
still
the pact is still on the stack.
Right, okay. So here's the show and tell.
Apologies, I'm not versed in 2015 Legacy.
Right. Okay, here we go, the Power Blast. So Hans has to make a move here.
Let's see, yeah, Force
of Will.
Poopy Hive Minds out of your deck? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or out of your hand.
Okay.
Okay, so... What's Josh gonna put in?
Yeah. But it's in nothing? He's 0 permanents in it?
Oh
yeah.
Man.
He sees the writing on the wall.
Yeah, he was Hans was just hoping that he would cast spells into this Hive Mind. Yeah.
Right. That's rough. Super cool deck. Also, yeah, if your opponent just plays creatures and is like, yeah, sick. Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah, and I think Hans is favored in this matchup, but those draws were impressive.
He'd had to do so much sculpting to get to that point in the game, you know, and I feel bad because, again, looking at that, I'm like, on paper, I really do feel like he could get there. It's just a matter of having literally one more thing to do, having one more cantrip in hand, just something like that to fight this. But we also saw something like that Thoughtseize going out from Josh here and doing what it needed to do. But we also saw Haywire might kill Lotus Petal.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Richard Garfield smiling somewhere. Oh man, and as we see what was ultimately going to kill Hans here, which is those 3 constructs still on board. Dang.
Yeah.
Man.
Ooh, yeah, because, I mean, those games lasted... I mean, both those games lasted a lot longer than I thought they were going to.
Right,
So.
Exactly. And we will have Josh on the microphone here in a little bit. But man, yeah, love that Hive Mind deck, though.
It's such a funny deck. It's actually kind of cool, because I was thinking about, like, why would you play this over something like Show and Tell?
Sure.
But it is a mono blue deck.
Yeah.
So you aren't as weak to Wasteland, and yeah, you do play a lot of, I mean, you play 4 free counter spells, kind of.
Right.
So,
I mean, also people are just unprepared for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it is in a lot of ways just a show and tell deck, right?
Yeah,
it's just
it's
show
an A
and
plus
tell.
B combo deck.
Exactly, yeah. So it's show and tell minus the red, which in modern day Legacy you are losing a lot of power because of that. Cards like Meltdown, cards like Power Blast.
Although I see in Hans' list we do have 1 volcanic island in the off chance that we have an emergency Pact of the Titan.
Oh yes. Maybe he does have the 4/4. All right, we'll be right back, folks. All right, welcome back. We have Mr. Josh Wright here, who is playing the Legacy lands and winning over Hive Mind.
Yeah.
How are we sitting here?
Definitely feel lucky to have won against that deck. As soon as I saw what he was on, 1, I thought it was incredibly sweet. I was like, this deck is amazing. And 2, I was like, oh god, I definitely came today not super ready for combo. I think I built my deck pretty tuned to like beat the fair decks and just kind of accepting that I'm going to lose to some like Doomsday or spell-based combo, but like sudden substitution, I'm like definitely not beating. And so I think as I was sitting across, I was just thinking like, what does a game that wins look like for me? And I definitely knew that mana was going to be really important, and so I prioritized like hands that had an early red source to be able to pay for the red pact, and then trying to like focus on getting Mox Diamonds off of sagas and things like that. And I also think like he drew pretty poorly in that match. There was so many places where he just rips and wins, and I don't have but like I think for him not having ripped, I got the right cards when I needed to. I got the double blue, which kind of put the game away because at that point pact is off the table. So as soon as I got the second Mox Diamond, I felt fairly safe there. And then the last game I kind of just was sitting on interactive spells, but I was even like unsure about like Force of Vigor towards the end there, because I was like, if he has the Hive Mind, it's already I don't have priority to like kill it before the pact goes on the stack.
Exactly. I was wondering if you were potentially even thinking about the line of like letting it resolve and trying to pact it, or trying to blast the Hive Mind.
The pact, or the Hive Mind, But
obviously you read the right thing in that situation, which is counter the show and tell.
Yeah, I think counter the show and tell, knowing he has 3 mana left. I think if he doesn't have 3 mana left and he has enough mana for sudden substitution, I think I just have to wait to try to counter my copy of pact.
Yes.
So like counter my copy of pact and then untap, and I don't have to pay.
Right.
So that was what I was thinking with that Pyroblast.
Like,
if he had 5 mana open, I wouldn't have, but I think the fact that he only had 3 blue open at that point, I was like, okay, I think I'm free to blast this and hopefully just untap and win. But yeah, super like weird matchup, and I definitely felt like I got away with a lucky one there.
We saw his hands. It was super rough. Just like, especially game 1, it was a lot of sudden substitutions, I believe, and it just like it did not come together, unfortunately. But all credit to you, and we talk about this a lot, like just in the local store here, is that you have to play your outs and you have to figure out your game plan. There are certainly points where I saw decisions where you had like crop rotation, things of that nature, where you could have waffled. You could have said, let's make Merit Lage, and then if it's Force of Will, you're a turn behind, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So you identified exactly what you needed to do. You're saying, we're making Urza Saga, we are going to make these tokens, we're going to swing. And that's exactly what you needed to do game 2, because as you saw, he went for it. He had the win in hand, sort of. He needed you to react to it, but he was just a little too late.
Yeah, and I think the Haywire Madam Pedal was pretty decent there.
I was like, whoa. I thought you were going to get Pithing Needle, because I just remember the other day when you were just like Pithing Needle your wasteland, or your fetch land, Robin. I'm like, I lose the game. All right.
Yeah, it was tempting there, but I think like getting the pedal off the table is ultimately probably the more important thing, because then it keeps him off of 5 mana. The only other decision that game I was maybe considering was he hadn't played land drop for a couple turn and brainstormed, and that was like a pretty juicy red blast target. But again, I think just like stick to the plan, just like try not to cast spells that he can like pact or whatever, and just like make Saga constructs like, and hopefully get there, which I did.
Yeah, exactly. I think you played it exactly like you needed to, and in game 1, seeing that position to make Merit Lage, I saw the tried and true, what is it, you make Merit Lage, Hail Satan is...
make Lage, Hail Satan,
yeah, exactly. And, you crop rotation, and you're like, okay, land behind. I'll probably lose this game. And it's like, no, I win. Apparently.
Yeah, I think like not putting spells on the stack, except for Red Blast, and just making constructs is probably the best plan you have, knowing that like they're just going to have hands that absolutely ranch you, and that is what it is.
Exactly. But can you tell me a little bit about the rest of your day today? I see that you're 3-1 here, so obviously you had some losses here, but going into it, overall, what has this tournament been like for you?
It's been a weird tournament. I feel like I've faced a lot of bad matchups and won, and then my only loss has been to my good matchup in Delver. So it's been weird. Like, I had a weird day. I beat Mono Black Helm, which is incredibly hard for me.
Wow. Yeah.
I beat Cloud Post, which is incredibly hard for me, just because like in the kind of like lands-based mirrors, the deck that has Elvish Reclaimer usually wins over the deck that doesn't. So like sense, Elvish Reclaimer just being like copies 5 and 6, or 7 through 8 or whatever of crop rotation are just so good in the mirror. And so I've lost to Max a lot on post, and like knew it. I had to get really lucky, but today's the first day. I feel like I had Blessing of the Archetype with lands, and I like ripped the Punishing Fire when I needed to against Max to hit his Reclaimer with 2 lands in graveyard to get that match. I also I ended up losing like a really close one to Grixis Delver. I think Travis is also doing pretty well in this tournament, and he Price of Progress and bolted me from like 14 life to 0. It was just like all at once. I was like, okay.
Take 11. Here we are.
So it's been like a weird spread of matchups. I played Helm, I played Delver, I played Sudden Substitution.
Yeah, super diverse meta.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Let me get this straight, Josh. So your wins today were Mono Black Helm.
Yep.
12 post.
12 post. 8 mulch was another matchup I played.
And Hive Mind?
And then Hive Mind, yeah.
On lands.
Yeah,
and
on
those
lands.
are your wins.
Those are my wins,
Wednesday.
yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And you lost against Delver.
And I lost against Delver.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this day has been me winning really bad in weird matchups and like losing a good one.
How do you beat Helm?
You have to have all the things, right? Like Force of Vigor post board is good against them. It's also the Helm deck is built so many different ways. I think like the Helm deck that's like heavy on artifacts and is not really like the scam version. I think you can be a bit better against because you have like Force of Vigor and Haywire Might and Pithing Needle, and that can shut off a lot for you. But a deck that just like turbos out a Leyline and like a Dathia Woodwalker is incredibly hard. And so I think like I got lucky game 3 in that match to just make Lage on turn 2. And like I said, like that was a matchup where I was just happy to like make Lage Hail Satan and hope you don't have the Edict, and he didn't, and that was the game, right? Like my plan was just like take the riskiest line I can knowing that this is a bad matchup, and it paid off. So yeah, I've definitely gotten lucky in a lot of spots today with lands because all those matchups have been really weird. And
those sound abysmal.
I've just been definitely lucky today, definitely hitting some Blessing of the Archetype top decks.
Yeah, well, you're going 4-1 here. At that point, I don't know if you can ID here.
No idea. Yeah, I'm gonna let somebody smarter than me after the standings are posted. Let me know if that's a possibility. But it would be cool if that was the case.
Awesome. Well, anything else that you would like to say to the people at home here?
Thanks for watching. This is our first big MMS tournament stream, so off to a good start. And thank you guys for commentating.
Yeah, it's really great
Cool.
to be here.
Awesome.
Thanks, Josh.
Take care.
Appreciate it. And we will be right back here with an interview with Hans. All right, and we are joined with Hans here after kind of a brutal match, unfortunately. We saw your draws that game, we saw the cantrips, and I just feel like things did not break exactly your way, but still on a sweet deck. Can you tell me a little bit more of how those games went?
Yeah, those games went not great for me, but no, props to Josh for doing what he needed to do to win those games. I feel like I just drew too many expensive spells in game 1 to not be able to pact after putting High Mind in play. I could have played more aggressively there, but then I would have died to a Dark Depths token, I think.
Sure, yeah.
Definitely game 2 I punted by casting Blood Spell when I didn't need to.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And again, he just had the Haywire Might, takes it off the board, but in some ways, just having literally one more thing to be able to pack negation, just literally one more thing, and it's just like, nope.
Right.
Oh, man. Really unfortunate draws there.
Yeah, just someone for a cantrip or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, you were... Like, game 1 especially, you saw, like, no cantrips. Yeah, and then game 2, you had, what, like, 1 in your opening hand? And then you cantrip into another one, and then just nothing.
Yeah, well, he thought he's my pack in game 2.
Yeah,
right.
That was... Yeah, we were talking about that, and I think that was probably the right choice for Josh to make. Yeah.
Right, yeah, because with that, you would have been able to sudden substitution, correct...
Right.
Yeah, we don't know how this card works.
Yeah.
That's what we've been talking about for
yeah,
half an hour.
exactly.
Yeah,
We've been trying to figure out exactly what you're doing. So for the people at home, can you tell us, what are you trying to do? Because we I think said what you're trying to do, but you could say much better.
Okay, yeah, so basically the Hive Mind deck just tries to give your opponent a copy of Pact of the Titan or Pact of Negation that they can't pay for, and then they'll lose the game in their upkeep. Sudden Substitution does that, Hive Mind does that.
Mm-hmm. Seems straightforward.
Yeah.
So, you're thinking about your tournament thus far, unfortunately sitting here at 3-2 now, but how has the whole tournament been for you, just in terms of going out? Have people been ready for what you're bringing to the table,
I don't think they have been.
Okay. Yeah, have you had some people just not understand how your deck works?
I mean, when I went through motions and explained to them what I was doing,
Right,
I think they understood.
like, oh, okay,
I understood
okay,
that, or they understood that, but yeah, I don't think anyone's seen this deck in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't.
This is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it is like an older legacy deck that I assume is adapted more to the modern metagame, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. So this deck, my understanding is this deck first came on back in the Mental Misstep era of Legacy in 2011, because it doesn't really get hurt by Mental Misstep. So
yeah, that's fair. So why this deck? Why at this deck for this tournament?
Well, I played Hive Mind back in 2011 and enjoyed it, so I saw a list do well at a large event recently.
Okay.
So,
and here you are.
yeah, and I figured like with everyone playing Beanstalks and trying to interact with creatures, I'm just going to try and attack from a different angle.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thinking about what your other loss was today, what deck were you facing there?
I played against 8 Key. So.
8 Key.
Oh, yeah. The Paradox
Yeah.
engine deck.
Yeah.
That is insane.
We've seen it go off here, and I've seen it go off at the tables just walking around today.
Yep.
And it's like, I feel like when I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's a turn 3 deck. And then turns out, no, it's like a turn 1, turn 2 deck. And you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Here we go.
Yep.
Ugh. Still, that's rough. But overall, it seems like a pretty diverse metagame that we have out here.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, we got a guy playing Hive Mind. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You are the testament sitting in the booth right now, you know. Regardless of that, you know, the list is super sweet. Did you do much tinkering here to kind of get to where we're at, or did you just kind of take it from where it was before?
Well, I took the deck list I saw online. I think the player finished like top 4 in the Bazaar of Boxes series or something a couple weekends ago, and I switched up some cards that I thought were better.
Fair. Do you mind going into what those were? Or?
Yeah, I think the changes I made were, instead of the 2 Impulse, I played 2 Stifle in case I needed to stifle a pack trigger on my turn.
Very smart, yeah.
And instead of Tundras and the Orm's Chance in the sideboard, I just played a Volcanic in case I needed to pay for a Pacted Titan on my turn.
Sure.
And played Defense Grid instead of Orm's Chant.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, Defense Grid just gets the job done, and we were seeing it even just like in that A-key deck.
Yep.
You know, it's just like,
Got 4 in the main, yeah.
Yeah,
That's so insane.
you cannot interact with me. This
Exactly.
is what I'm doing.
Yep.
With that, anything else that before we wrap up here that you'd like to say to the folks at home?
Well, I hope you enjoyed the games. Enjoyed the stream here. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, hopefully Alex
thanks
was
for
watching.
Yeah.
The #1 Hans fan. Number 2. Yeah, so
He's going to get a good kick out of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Regardless. Well, Hans, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back here for going into, what is this, round number
6?
6?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, very exciting stuff.
It's the end of the Swiss, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks, everyone.